Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks. With a Spain News Update, we'll take a look at some of the main stories that have caught my attention in the press here in Spain, and we'll also take a look at some comments that have been left on the channel recently by viewers. Before I begin, a huge thanks to all of the people that have supported the channel in recent times, whether it's by buying me a coffee, whether it's through the Super Thanks option on YouTube, longer-term supporters on Patreon, and the channel members of this YouTube channel. Thank you very much for that support. Now, straight into the news, and it's happened again. Another anti-tourism protest has taken place in Spain on the island of Mallorca in the city of Palma, and 10,000 people took part in this protest, saying that they want a change to the tourism model that Spain currently has. As we can see here, more than 10,000 people demonstrate against mass tourism in Mallorca. More than 10,000 people took to the streets of Palma on Sunday to protest against mass tourism and its effects on the lives of the local population, following the same path of social mobilization that the Canary Islands, Malaga and Barcelona have taken before, and under the slogan, "Let's change the course, let's put limits to tourism," a citizens' tide called by 111 entities and associations grouped in a platform called Less Tourism, More Life went through the main arteries of the Balearic capital in the afternoon. "We are calling for a change of the model to put an end to this unsustainable growth," explained Pere Joan Fermenia, one of the organizers of the march, "especially because tourism revenues are not redistributed and are retained in the hands of big capital, while poverty has continued to increase." So there we go, more than 10,000 people hitting the streets of the Mallorcan capital Palma yesterday, Sunday, saying that they want limits put on tourism on that island. And I think, but don't quote me on this statistic, that is the biggest turnout so far in one of these anti-tourism protests here in Spain. So the locals on that island have had enough. They are fed up with tourists and tourism, and they say that they're not seeing any of the wealth that tourism brings. It's all in the hands of big corporations, and that's something that they want to change also. Now, the second piece of news, and people living in Spain, beware, because there's a new SMS scam out there. And as we can read here, the national police are warning of smishing, the new way of scamming via your mobile phone. Delivery of your parcel is on hold because your shipment does not have a house number. Last reminder before the increase of your outstanding fine. Your account has been disabled due to new security changes. Please access the following link. These are some of the messages you may receive on your mobile phone in the form of SMS, fraudulent warnings and alerts aimed at gaining access to our bank accounts. The National Police have warned of a new type of crime using SMS messages known as smishing, and offers a series of recommendations to avoid falling into this type of scam. And basically the recommendations are: don't click that link. If you have one of these messages pop up on your phone, delete it immediately, because if you do click that link, it's all over Red Rover and they might be able to access your bank account. So beware, because scammers are out there and they want your cash. The third piece of news now, and an interesting article about the impact on the Spanish economy that expats are having. And as we can read here, expats are a driving force in the real estate and hospitality markets in Spain. The expats, or foreigners who spend long periods of time in Spain, are one of the driving forces behind the property market in coastal areas and large capital cities, but also in the hotel and catering industry, according to a pioneering study carried out by CaixaBank Research analyzing card payments made at the bank's POS terminals. Judith Monturiol explains that these foreigners who stay in Spain between 3 and 11 months a year hold 1% of the foreign cards used at their POS, but make 8% of the payments. They spend 25.3% of their expenditure on restaurants, a percentage very similar to that of tourists, 27%, and much higher than that of Spanish cardholders, 14.8%, although their spending in supermarkets, 24.7%, is closer to the profile of Spaniards, 33%. Spending on hotels is also higher, 4.8%, compared to 2.4% for Spaniards, because they are more willing to travel doing local tourism. So there we go, some interesting data there. Expats or foreign residents in Spain, 1% of the credit cards in the country, but 8% of payments. And spending a lot more in bars and restaurants are these foreigners than locals. And the final piece of news today related to the city of Benidorm and the use of electric mobility scooters in that city. And as we can read here, electric mobility scooters are invading the streets of Benidorm. The streets of Benidorm have been filled with amazing images. Personal mobility vehicles, PMV, filling the streets. These vehicles, far from being simple electronic scooters, are designed for the elderly or those with mobility problems. However, their use has created a chaotic scene in the Alicante town of Benidorm. Benidorm is known to be a popular destination for the elderly, especially during the summer. This high percentage of elderly people is a key factor in the increased use of VMPs, as these vehicles provide a convenient form of mobility for those with mobility problems. However, many tourists are simply looking for a comfortable way to get around the city. So there we go, electric mobility scooters invading the streets of Benidorm, and anyone who has been to the city of Benidorm will know that that is indeed the case. I have never seen so many people on this type of scooter in my life, and believe me, not everyone riding these scooters around Benidorm is elderly. A lot of people seem to be just too lazy to walk, or maybe they're too drunk. I don't know. Now let's take a look at some comments that have been left on the channel recently. One here from Autumn Lynn: Spain's answer for everything. More taxes like the wealth tax that still don't solve any problems, still benefit the ultra wealthy, and meanwhile leaving locals with income and housing issues, at which point they decide to assault innocent people. I love Spain, but I think for at least a year we all need to stop traveling there, and they need to force their government to redesign regulations and manage things the right way. This is ridiculous. Don't give them your dollars. Yeah, Autumn Lynn, thanks for the comment, and fairly clear that you are not happy with the way that Spain is managing this whole anti-tourism situation. We saw yesterday that the mayor of Barcelona has said that they're going to increase the tax that passengers on cruise ships pay. People that stay less than 12 hours in the city will have to pay more tax starting soon, I believe. And Autumn Lynn saying there that Spain's answer to every problem is to increase taxes, and maybe she's right, because as we can see here, Europe points to Spain as the country where tax pressure is rising the most, and the only one that applies the wealth tax. So it does seem that politicians in Spain don't have any other tricks up their sleeve except to increase taxes, and it's a shame. And as we saw in that article there, the only country in Europe to have a wealth tax. So taxes in Spain are high, and you constantly have the feeling that somebody has their hand in your pocket. One here from Johnny: Hi Stuart, does YouTube take a cut from our member support or super chats? If so, what is the best method to support the channel? I'd like you to keep as much of the donation as possible. Yeah, Johnny, thanks for the comment, and the simple answer to your question is yes, YouTube does take a cut, and a fairly big cut at that, I believe. And to answer your second question, Johnny, what's the best way to support the channel? Well, I reckon it's this option here. One here from user: I've been to Spain probably 25 times but won't be going anymore. They think they can blame the British for everything, so I think people should think about boycotting Spain. Yeah, user, thanks for the comment, and obviously you have been reading a lot of tabloid press in the UK recently, the anti-Spain tabloid press that puts out some unbelievably erroneous articles about Spain. And it's easy to get the impression after reading that press that Spain blames the British for everything, but it is not the case, because there are literally hundreds of thousands of people from the UK living in Spain on a permanent basis, and they don't cop any backlash at all. However, when ugly tourists from the UK come to Spain and run amok, basically treat the country like a toilet, there can be a bit of of a backlash. But in general, it's not the case, so stop reading GB News or Birmingham Live and get a grip on reality. One here from Walter. Stu, it's funny you mentioned people from Switzerland buying property in Spain. In Switzerland, only citizens are allowed to buy properties. Thailand has the same laws. Outsiders are only allowed to buy apartments in Thailand. Yeah, Walter, thanks for the comment, and I believe that it is the case that it is difficult for non-residents to buy property in some countries around the world. Not sure about Switzerland and Thailand because I don't have any experience with those countries, but I'll take your word for it. But I have heard in some countries you also can't start a business unless you have a partner that is a local, but that doesn't happen in Spain. Anybody can buy property in Spain anywhere they like if they have enough money. Some parts of Spain, for example, the Balearic Islands, have spoken about this in the past, bringing in laws to stop or restrict foreigners from buying property in the Balearic Islands, but I don't think it's happened yet. And I also think that it's very hard to do legally given Spain's position in the European Union. But again, don't quote me on that. One here from user, go to Greece or elsewhere. It's cheaper and friendlier. Yeah, user, thanks for the comment and good advice. Go to Greece because it's cheaper and friendlier. See you later. One here from Kima, winter in Northern Europe, it has been raining for 9 months straight. Yeah, Kima, thanks for the comment, and this is something that popped up in yesterday's live stream. The amount of people from the north of Europe that are buying property in places like the Costa Blanca or the Costa del Sol because they want a location that has good weather most of the year, unlike in other European countries where winters, as we know, can be very, very harsh indeed. And given the amount of people in those northern European countries that are approaching retirement age and thinking about moving to Spain for their golden years, I can only imagine that even more properties on the Mediterranean coast in Spain will be snapped up by these Northern Europeans in coming years. On that note, I'm going to wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. If you have anything to add to the conversation today, the comment section is the place for you. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.